I am Jamie, a 32-year-old single mom from Boston. My afternoon with my 4-year-old daughter, Lily, was turned upside down when my phone rang. It was my sister, Amelia. Her words cut through me like a knife. Being a single mom is a family disgrace, and I was not even invited to Thanksgiving. I sat frozen, unable to believe what I had heard. Then came the email from my parents, saying they fully supported Amelia. In that moment, something inside me snapped. Then you won't be there either, I replied, canceling all the payments I had made. Where are you watching from? Hit like and subscribe to see how I turned this family betrayal into the best decision of my life. Growing up in our small Massachusetts town, my family was known for its traditional conservative values. My parents, Martha and Richard Thompson, built their reputation on presenting the image of a perfect family. From an early age, they instilled in us the belief that success meant a perfect marriage, a beautiful home in the suburbs, and children raised in a conventional two-parent household. Any deviation from this path was considered failure. I met Mark during my senior year of college. He was charming, ambitious, and seemed to check all the boxes my parents had drilled into me. We dated for 3 years, and everything appeared perfect on the surface. He had a promising career in finance. We moved into a lovely apartment together, and when he proposed on my 28th birthday, my parents were ecstatic. Finally, their daughter was following the proper life script. The first 2 years of our engagement were blissful. We planned our wedding, talked about our future children, and began looking at houses in good school districts. When I discovered I was pregnant, though it was before our wedding date, Mark seemed thrilled. My parents were slightly scandalized by the timing, but quickly adjusted their narrative to focus on their upcoming grandchild. 6 months into my pregnancy, the first cracks appeared. Mark began coming home late from work. His explanations grew vague, and he became irritable and distant. Still, I convinced myself it was just pre-wedding and pre-baby jitters. I focused on preparing the nursery and finalizing wedding details, determined to hold our perfect life together. Then came the text that wasn't meant for me. I picked up his phone to order takeout one evening while he was in the shower. And there it was, a message from someone named Jessica. Can't wait to see you tonight. My place at 8. Wear that blue shirt. I love you. My world collapsed in an instant. When confronted, Mark didn't even try to deny it. Jessica was his coworker, and they had been seeing each other for months. Worse, she wasn't the first. There had been others throughout our relationship. The man I thought I knew, the father of my unborn child, was a complete stranger to me. I'm not ready for this, he said, gesturing vaguely at my pregnant belly. I never really wanted kids this soon. I just went along with it because you seemed so happy. Within a week, Mark had moved out, leaving me 7 months pregnant and alone. When Lily was born, he didn't even come to the hospital. He signed away his parental rights without hesitation and moved to Chicago with Jessica. The last I heard, they were married with no children. Mark made it clear he wanted nothing to do with our daughter and has never once asked to see her or even requested a photo. My parents' reaction was worse than I expected. Rather than rallying around their daughter in crisis, they seemed more concerned with what the neighbors would think. Couldn't you have worked harder to keep him? My mother asked. A child needs a father, my father repeated, as if I had deliberately chosen single parenthood. Despite their judgment, I rebuilt my life piece by piece. I returned to work at the marketing firm just 8 weeks after Lily was born, arranging reliable childcare and often working late into the night after putting her to bed. My determination paid off when I secured a promotion to senior marketing strategist last year, finally achieving true financial stability. Ironically, as my career flourished, I became the family's financial safety net. When my father needed surgery 2 years ago, I was the one who covered the costs insurance wouldn't. When my mother's car broke down, I helped pay for repairs. Family gatherings almost always happened on my dime, though my contributions were rarely acknowledged. It's the least you can do, my mother once said when I questioned the expectation. Since we have to explain to everyone why Lily doesn't have a father. Despite these painful comments, I continued supporting my family financially and emotionally. I wanted Lily to know her grandparents and extended family, even if their acceptance came with conditions. I told myself that family was family, and someday they would see the strength it took to build our life alone. Little did I know how wrong I was about their capacity for true acceptance, or how soon I would be forced to redefine what family really means. My sister Amelia and I couldn't be more different. 2 years younger than me, Amelia has always been the golden child. While I worked part-time jobs through high school and college, Amelia focused exclusively on cheerleading and socializing. My parents justified this imbalance by insisting Amelia was more delicate and needed more support to thrive. Childhood memories are filled with instances of this favoritism. On my 16th birthday, I received practical gifts, SAT prep books, a basic laptop for schoolwork, and new sneakers. When Amelia turned 16 2 years later, she got a brand new car with a personalized license plate. Your sister needs more encouragement, Mom explained when she saw my face. You're naturally motivated. This pattern continued into adulthood. When I graduated college with honors and secured my first job, my parents gave me a card. When Amelia barely graduated with her associate degree, they threw an elaborate party and gifted her a 2-week trip to Europe. Your sister needs this confidence boost, they explained. Amelia's adult life has been a series of poor decisions followed by bailouts. She's changed career paths 5 times, each requiring new courses my parents paid for. She's lived in 6 different apartments in 8 years, breaking leases whenever she felt like it, with my parents covering the penalties. She's dated a string of unsuitable men, and after each inevitable breakup, she would move back home for months of emotional recovery. Through all of this, I remained the responsible one, the person everyone called when things went wrong. When Amelia got a DUI 3 years ago, I was the one who found her a lawyer and drove her to court dates. When she couldn't make rent last winter, I loaned her money that was never repaid. When she totaled her 3rd car, I helped her find a reliable used one she could afford. Everything changed 6 months ago when Amelia met Thomas, the son of a prominent local business owner. Thomas came from old money and old values. He took Amelia to expensive restaurants, bought her designer gifts, and within 3 months presented her with a 3-carat diamond engagement ring. My parents were ecstatic. Finally, Amelia had succeeded according to their definition. The wedding was scheduled for next spring. But Thanksgiving would be the first major holiday where Thomas's family would meet ours. Amelia immediately began planning an elaborate Thanksgiving dinner at an exclusive venue rather than at our parents' home. The venue, Oakmont Lodge, required a substantial deposit, which Amelia asked me to cover temporarily. It needs to be perfect for Thomas's family, she explained. They're used to the best, and I want to impress them. Despite my own financial constraints, I agreed to help. I paid the $2,000 deposit for the venue and promised to cover the costs for the meal as well. It was a stretch for my budget, but family was family, and I wanted to support my sister's happiness. As the holiday approached, Amelia's attitude toward me began to shift. Her calls became less frequent, and when we did speak, she seemed distant. She began making casual comments about how traditional Thomas's family was and how much they valued conventional family structures. Thomas's mother is very involved with her church, Amelia mentioned during one conversation. She's on some family values committee or something. My parents, too, seemed increasingly uncomfortable when discussing Thanksgiving plans. They began emphasizing how important this holiday was for Amelia's future. This could secure her place in a very good family, my mother said. Thomas's parents know everyone who matters in this state. Meanwhile, their subtle criticism of my life choices intensified. My mother would remark, "It's such a shame Lily doesn't have a man in her life to look up to," or, "Children from broken homes have such a disadvantage." My father would add, "Amelia is finally making us proud in the way we always hoped." Despite these painful jabs, I continued helping with Thanksgiving preparations. Just 2 weeks before the holiday, Amelia called asking for another favor. Her car needed significant repairs, and she was short on cash after buying a new outfit for Thanksgiving. Once again, I stepped in, arranging to pay the mechanic directly for the $800 repair. Through all of this, I never imagined I would be excluded from the very event I was helping to fund. I believed that, despite their flaws, family meant showing up for each other. I was about to learn how wrong I was. That Thursday afternoon had been perfectly ordinary. Lily and I had a routine for Thursdays. After picking her up from preschool, we would stop by the library to exchange books, then head home for snack time and reading. Lily had just settled at our kitchen table with apple slices and peanut butter when my phone rang. I almost didn't answer when I saw Amelia's name. Lately, her calls usually meant she needed something, and I was enjoying this peaceful moment with my daughter. Still, with Thanksgiving just a week away, I thought she might need to discuss final arrangements. "Hey, what's up?" I answered, balancing the phone between my ear and shoulder as I poured Lily's milk. "Jamie, I need to talk to you about Thanksgiving," Amelia said. Her voice unusually formal. "Sure, did something change with the catering order?" I asked, still focused on not spilling the milk. There was a pause. Then Amelia spoke in a rehearsed tone. "After discussing things with Thomas and his parents, we think it would be best if you didn't attend Thanksgiving this year." The milk carton slipped from my hand, splashing across the counter. Lily looked up, startled. "What are you talking about?" I managed to say, turning away from Lily and lowering my voice. "It's just that Thomas's family is very traditional," Amelia continued. "They place a high value on conventional families. And your situation might make them uncomfortable." "My situation," I repeated. Still processing her words. "Being a single mom is viewed as a family disgrace by people like Thomas's parents," she said bluntly. "It's nothing personal, but your presence would create tension on what should be a perfect day." I stood frozen, phone pressed to my ear, unable to form words, as Amelia continued. Besides, cousin Rachel's kids will be there, and we don't want them getting confused by your lifestyle choices. You understand, right? This is really important for my future, Amelia. I paid for the venue, I finally managed to say. I'm covering the meal costs, and I just paid for your car repairs. And I really appreciate that, she said quickly. Of course, you'll still help with those things. That's what family does. But physically being there would complicate things. Mom and Dad agree with me, they know about this? I asked, my voice barely audible. Of course. They understand what's at stake here. Thomas's family is very influential. I glanced at Lily, happily munching her apple slices. Oblivious to the fact that her aunt was declaring her existence a disgrace. I need to go, I said flatly. So, you understand, Amelia pressed. It's just this one holiday. Maybe by Christmas we can figure something out, like maybe you could come for dessert after Thomas's parents leave. Goodbye, Amelia, I said, ending the call before she could hear the break in my voice. I managed to maintain my composure through the rest of snack time, reading Lily her favorite book about a purple dinosaur, while my mind raced. After getting her settled with her toys, I retreated to the bathroom, turned on the shower to mask the sound, and finally let the tears come hours later, after putting Lily to bed. I checked my email to find a message from my parents. The subject line read simply, Thanksgiving arrangements. With shaking hands, I opened it. Dear Jamie, it began formally. We've spoken with Amelia about Thanksgiving plans and fully support her decision. Thomas comes from an extremely well-respected family with traditional values, and this relationship represents an important opportunity for your sister. As parents, we must consider what's best for the family as a whole. We're sure you understand that your unconventional choices have consequences, and in this case, it means making a small sacrifice for your sister's future happiness. Your financial contributions to Thanksgiving are greatly appreciated and demonstrate your commitment to family despite your circumstances. Perhaps next year we can arrange a separate family gathering that won't make Thomas's family uncomfortable. We trust you'll be discreet about this arrangement and not create additional family tension. Love, Mom and Dad. The email hit me like a physical blow. Unconventional choices. Your circumstances. As if becoming a single mother had been my preferred option, rather than the result of abandonment by a man they had once welcomed into their home with open arms. I spent that night alternating between tears and anger, pacing my small apartment after Lily was asleep. I scrolled through photos on my phone, family gatherings where I had been included but never fully welcomed, holidays where my contributions were accepted but my presence merely tolerated. For years, I had convinced myself that maintaining these relationships was important for Lily's sake. But now, staring at that cold email, I wondered what kind of example I was setting for my daughter by allowing her mother to be treated this way. What would Lily learn from watching me continually seek approval from people who saw her very existence as shameful? Sleep eluded me that night as I contemplated 4 years of sacrifice, support, and one-sided love. By morning, something fundamental had shifted inside me. The hurt remained, but alongside it grew something new, clarity, and with it, resolve. The morning sun streamed through my kitchen window as I sat at the table, still in yesterday's clothes, a cold cup of coffee between my hands. Lily wouldn't wake for another hour. In the quiet of early morning, the emotional fog began to lift, giving way to a clarity I hadn't experienced before. For years, I had been the family ATM while simultaneously being treated as a cautionary tale. I reached for my laptop and opened my financial records. The evidence was stark and undeniable. In the past year alone, I had contributed over $12,000 to various family expenses. There was the $500 for Dad's medication insurance wouldn't cover, $1,000 toward Mom's new refrigerator, $3,000 for the family reunion I hadn't even wanted to attend. And now, most recently, $2,000 for the Thanksgiving venue deposit, $800 for Amelia's car repairs, and another $1,500 set aside for the Thanksgiving meal itself. All this while struggling to build my own emergency fund, delaying home repairs, and carefully budgeting Lily's preschool expenses. My family valued my money but found my presence embarrassing. The realization wasn't just painful, it was infuriating. I pulled up the receipt for Oakmont Lodge. The deposit was refundable with 7 days' notice. We were exactly 7 days from Thanksgiving. I picked up my phone and dialed the venue. Good morning, Oakmont Lodge. This is Patricia speaking, came a cheerful voice. Good morning, I replied, my voice steady. My name is Jamie Thompson. I paid a deposit for a Thanksgiving event next week, and I need to cancel that reservation. Let me look that up for you, Patricia said. There was a pause. Yes, I see it here. Reservation under Thompson for Thursday, party of 20. May I ask the reason for cancellation? I've been uninvited, I said simply. I'm sorry to hear that, Patricia replied, genuine sympathy in her voice. Since you're canceling exactly within our 7-day policy, your full deposit will be refunded to your card within 3 to 5 business days. Thank you, I said. One task complete. Next, I called the catering company. The deposit check had been mailed but probably not cashed yet. I placed a stop payment through my banking app, incurring a $30 fee that felt entirely worth it. Finally, I called Jim at the auto repair shop. Morning, Jamie, he greeted me. Your sister's car is all set. Was going to call her to pick it up today. About that, Jim, I said, I'm afraid I need to cancel my payment arrangement for that repair. Everything okay? He asked. Family disagreement, I replied. I won't be covering her bill after all. No problem, Jim said. Car stays here until someone pays the bill. Sorry about the family trouble. With each cancellation, I felt a weight lifting. For years, I had carried the financial burden for a family that couldn't even treat me with basic respect. No more. I composed a simple email addressed to my parents and Amelia. I received your message about Thanksgiving and have given it considerable thought. Since my presence is unwelcome but my financial contributions are still expected, I've decided that neither will be available. I have canceled the reservation at Oakmont Lodge. The $2,000 deposit will be returned to my account. I have stopped payment on the catering deposit. I have also informed Jim's Auto that I will not be covering Amelia's $800 car repair. If being a single mother makes me a family disgrace, then I see no reason to financially support the family that views me this way. I wish you all a lovely Thanksgiving without the venue, food, or car that my disgraceful money would have provided. Jamie. I read the email twice, adjusted one sentence for clarity, then hit send. My hand shook slightly, but not from fear, from adrenaline. For the first time since Mark had walked out, I wasn't apologizing for my life or trying to compensate for my supposed failures. I was standing up for myself and my daughter. I set my phone to do not disturb, woke Lily, and got her ready for preschool. After dropping her off, I took the day off work and went to the park, sitting on a bench by the pond and feeling the November sunlight on my face. My phone buzzed repeatedly in my bag, but I didn't check it. Whatever crisis my family was experiencing now, it wasn't my problem to solve. For once, I felt not just anger or hurt, but something much more powerful, freedom. By the time I picked Lily up from preschool that afternoon, my phone showed 27 missed calls, 14 voicemails, and 38 text messages. I scrolled through them briefly while Lily was distracted by a playground on our walk home. The first voicemail was from Amelia, her voice high and panicked. Jamie, what did you do? The venue just called and said our reservation is cancelled. Call me back immediately. The second, 10 minutes later, was more desperate. This isn't funny, Jamie. Thomas's parents are flying in for this. You can't just cancel everything because your feelings are hurt. My mother's voicemail was coldly furious. Jamie Elizabeth Thompson. This behavior is completely unacceptable. Call us back this instant. My father's message was briefer but equally outraged. Young lady, you've gone too far. We need to speak immediately. The texts ranged from Amelia's all-caps call me now to my mother's more manipulative, is this the example you want to set for Lily? There were also messages from aunts, uncles, and cousins, apparently recruited to pressure me into reconsidering. I put my phone away as Lily and I entered our apartment. I wasn't ready to engage with any of them yet. Instead, I focused on making dinner and helping Lily with her preschool project, a handprint turkey that would never make it to my parents' refrigerator after Lily was asleep. I finally sat down to listen to the remaining voicemails. The tone had evolved throughout the day. Amelia's panic had shifted to tearful begging by her fourth message. Please, Jamie, I can't afford to fix this. Thomas is already questioning why everything fell through. His parents are going to think we're disorganized. Please don't ruin this for me. My mother's approach had changed, too, moving from anger to guilt. Jamie, I understand you're upset, but this is extremely selfish. Think about what this is doing to your sister. Think about the family. The most recent message from my father attempted a gruff reconciliation. Jamie, call us back. We can discuss this like adults. No need for all this drama. I deleted them all without responding, then texted my best friend, Megan. You won't believe what happened, I wrote, then gave her a condensed version of events. Her response was immediate. Holy crap. Are you okay? Do you and Lily have plans for Thanksgiving now? We'll figure something out, I replied. But I'm actually feeling better than I have in years. The next morning at work, my colleague Sarah noticed my unusual energy. When I explained the situation, her response surprised me. Good for you, she said firmly. I've listened to stories about your family for years and always wondered why you put up with it. By lunchtime, word had spread through my small office. To my amazement, colleagues I barely knew stopped by my desk to offer support. My family pulled similar stuff when I got divorced, shared our accounting manager. Setting boundaries is hard, but necessary. Meanwhile, the family drama escalated. My cousin Ryan called to report that he'd driven past Oakmont Lodge and seen Amelia in tears on the steps, apparently after confirming the cancellation in person. She looked pretty wrecked, he said. But between us, she had this coming. That evening, I received a text from a number I didn't recognize. It was Thomas, Amelia's fiancé, who had apparently obtained my number from family records. I don't know what's happening between you and Amelia, he wrote, but I've never seen her this upset. Her parents claim they can fix this, but now I'm wondering about the financial stability of the family I'm marrying into. I didn't respond. Thomas's concerns about his future in-laws' finances were not my problem. If anything, his message confirmed I'd made the right choice. His first concern wasn't about healing family wounds but about financial stability. The next day brought news that my parents were scrambling to find another venue. But with less than a week until Thanksgiving, everything was booked. They'd resorted to considering hosting at their house, but their dining room could barely fit 10 people, let alone the 20 they'd invited. Through all of this, I experienced waves of emotion. Sometimes I felt guilty when I imagined my sister's tears. Other times, I felt angry all over again when I remembered their casual cruelty. Mostly, though, I felt a growing confidence in my decision to stop accepting mistreatment. Lily sensed something was different. "Are we going to Grandma and Grandpa's for Thanksgiving?" she asked during bath time. "Not this year, sweetie," I told her. "We're going to do something special, just us and maybe some friends." "Good," she said simply. "Grandma always makes me wear itchy tights." Her response made me realize how much I had normalized our second-class status in the family. Even my 4-year-old daughter had picked up on the subtle signs that we weren't fully welcomed or comfortable in their world. The final blow to my family's Thanksgiving plans came 3 days before the holiday. Amelia called, and for the first time since this began, I answered. "The caterer won't work with us," she said without preamble, her voice raw from crying. "They said their deposit check was canceled and now they don't trust us to pay the balance. Mom and Dad are trying to cook everything themselves. But you know Mom can barely handle a regular dinner, let alone Thanksgiving for 20. "That sounds difficult," I replied neutrally. "Is that all you have to say?" Amelia demanded. "You've ruined everything." Thomas's parents are horrified by all this chaos. They're talking about staying at a hotel instead of with Mom and Dad now. "I understand this is stressful," I said carefully. "But I'm not the one who decided a single mother was too disgraceful to attend a family holiday." "That was a poor choice of words," Amelia conceded without actually apologizing. "I was just trying to make things comfortable for everyone." "Well, now you can be comfortable without my money," I replied. "I need to go. Lily needs her bath." As I ended the call, I realized I was smiling. For the first time in my adult life, I wasn't rushing to fix my family's problems or apologizing for my existence. Instead, I was focusing on creating a positive environment for my daughter and myself. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. With less than a week until Thanksgiving, I found myself in an unfamiliar position, free to create my own holiday traditions without consideration for family expectations. After putting Lily to bed that evening, I sat down with a notepad and began to reimagine the holiday. Why not host a gathering for others who might be alone or excluded this Thanksgiving? I thought of Sarah, my coworker, who had recently finalized her divorce and mentioned her ex-husband would have their children for the holiday. I thought of Mr. Johnson, the elderly widower across the hall, who often commented on the delicious smells coming from our apartment when I cooked. And there was Daniela, another single mom from Lily's preschool, who had mentioned her family lived overseas. I created a group text to Sarah, Daniela, and 2 other friends who I knew didn't have concrete plans. Last-minute Friendsgiving at my place on Thursday. Nothing fancy, just good food and better company. Kids welcome. The responses came quickly and enthusiastically. Everyone was on board. Sarah offered to bring her famous apple pie. Daniela said she'd make traditional Brazilian sides to share her culture. I knocked on Mr. Johnson's door and personally invited him. His face lit up when I explained the gathering. "I haven't had a proper Thanksgiving since my Margaret passed 5 years ago," he said, eyes misty. "I'd be honored to join you. I make a fine cranberry sauce, if that would be helpful." With my guest list growing to 10 people, including 4 children, I began planning in earnest. I bought a turkey, potatoes, vegetables, and ingredients for stuffing. I found festive paper plates with autumn leaves on them. Knowing my limited dishware wouldn't accommodate everyone, I picked up child-friendly activities. Planning a crafting table where the kids could make Thanksgiving decorations. Wednesday afternoon, I took Lily grocery shopping, letting her help select apples for the pie and choose which color napkins we would use. Her excitement was contagious as she skipped down the aisles, occasionally adding unauthorized items to our cart that I quietly returned when she wasn't looking. "Will there be other kids to play with?" she asked as we loaded groceries into the cart. "Yes, Daniela's son, Max, will be there. He's 5. And Sarah is bringing her niece and nephew who are visiting. This is going to be the best Thanksgiving ever, Lily declared. That evening, Sarah came over early to help with preparations. As we peeled potatoes and prepped the turkey for the next day, I shared the latest updates from my family saga. Amelia called again today, I told Sarah. Apparently, Thomas's parents decided to go to a restaurant instead of dealing with the disorganization at my parents' house. Amelia's devastated that her perfect impression has been ruined. And how do you feel about all of it? Sarah asked, expertly dicing an onion. I considered the question carefully. Lighter, I finally said. Like I've put down a heavy backpack I didn't even realize I was carrying. Don't get me wrong, it hurts that they were so quick to exclude Lily and me, but it's also clarifying. I can stop trying to earn acceptance. That was never going to come. Sarah nodded. After my divorce, the first holiday I spent without trying to please my ex's family was terrifying, but also freeing. I realized I could create traditions that actually made me happy. Later that night, after Sarah left and final preparations were complete, I received another text from my mother. Unlike the previous angry and manipulative messages, this one seemed genuinely confused. I don't understand why you're doing this to the family, she wrote. We've always supported you, even after you became a single mother. Why would you hurt your sister this way? Her words revealed so much about how they viewed our relationship. In their minds, merely tolerating my presence as a single mother constituted support. My financial and emotional contributions were simply expected, my obligation for failing to maintain a traditional family. For the first time, I saw clearly how one-sided our relationship had always been. I didn't respond to the text. Instead, I turned off my phone and went to sleep, excited about the next day's gathering. Thanksgiving morning dawned bright and clear. Lily woke early, eager to help with preparations. I set her up with safe tasks like arranging crackers on a plate and folding napkins while I got the turkey in the oven. By noon, my apartment was filled with delicious smells and the sound of Thanksgiving music playing softly. At 1 o'clock, the first guests arrived. Daniela and Max came bearing Brazilian cheese bread and a colorful rice dish. Sarah followed with her famous pie and a bottle of wine. Mr. Johnson appeared at the door in a suit and tie, proudly carrying his cranberry sauce in a crystal bowl that had belonged to his late wife. By 2 o'clock, everyone had arrived, and my small apartment hummed with conversation and laughter. The children gathered at the crafting table I'd set up, creating hand turkeys and construction paper leaves with messages of gratitude. The adults congregated in the kitchen, sharing stories and helping with last-minute preparations. What struck me most was how relaxed everyone seemed. There were no undercurrents of judgment or forced politeness. No one was performing or pretending. We were just people enjoying each other's company, accepting one another exactly as we were. When we gathered around my expanded dining table, supplemented with a folding table borrowed from Mr. Johnson, I looked at the faces of these people who had no obligation to me by blood but had chosen to spend their holiday in my home. Unexpectedly, tears pricked my eyes. Before we eat, I said, raising my glass, I want to thank you all for coming today. This week has taught me that family isn't always defined by blood. Sometimes it's defined by who shows up, who accepts you without conditions, who makes space for you at their table and in their hearts. My voice cracked slightly. So thank you for being that kind of family today. Here, said Mr. Johnson, his eyes damp. To chosen family. We all clinked glasses, even the children with their juice boxes. As we ate and laughed and shared stories, I kept thinking about the stiff, uncomfortable dinner that would be happening at my parents' house, the forced politeness, the judgmental glances, the performance of perfection. For the first time, I didn't envy or miss it. I was exactly where I wanted to be. After the meal, while the turkey coma set in and football played quietly on TV, Daniela sat beside me on the couch. We should do this again for Christmas, she suggested. Max had so much fun with Lily. I'd like that, I replied honestly. Maybe we can start a regular thing. As the evening wound down and guests began to leave, each with containers of leftovers, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't experienced in years. We had created something genuine and joyful from what could have been a lonely day. We had built connection where there had been exclusion. Mr. Johnson was the last to leave. As he stood at the door, he patted my hand. My Margaret would have liked you very much, he said. She always said, family is earned, not given. You've earned a good one today. After Lily was asleep and the apartment was quiet again, I turned my phone back on to find 6 missed calls and numerous texts. I ignored them all except one, a message from my cousin Ryan. Hope you had a good day, he wrote. Dinner here was tense and awful. Thomas's parents left early, Amelia cried. Uncle Rick got drunk and argued with Dad about politics. Mom's turkey was dry. Maybe next year I'll get myself uninvited, too. I smiled and wrote back. There's always room at my table for another exile. As I went to bed that night, I realized we hadn't just survived Thanksgiving without my blood family. We had thrived. And in the process, we had created something new and authentic that reflected who we truly were. Not who someone else thought we should be. 3 weeks passed with continued silence between me and my immediate family. I maintained the boundary I had set, focusing instead on the positive relationships in my life. Lily and I decorated our apartment for Christmas, started a movie night tradition with Daniela and Max, and invited Mr. Johnson over for Sunday dinners. At work, I accepted a project leadership role I'd previously hesitated to take due to family obligations. Without the constant drain of family drama and financial expectations, I found myself with more energy, more resources, and more joy in everyday moments. Then on a Tuesday evening in mid-December, an email from my parents arrived. The subject line read simply, "We're sorry." My finger hovered over the delete button, but curiosity won out. I opened it and began to read. "Dear Jamie," it began. "After much reflection, we realized we made a terrible mistake regarding Thanksgiving. Excluding you and Lily was wrong on every level, and we're deeply sorry for the pain we caused. The holiday was a disaster without you, and not just because of the practical arrangements that fell through. Your absence highlighted how much we've taken you for granted over the years," the email continued, acknowledging specific instances where they had treated me unfairly and failed to appreciate my contributions to the family. While it didn't address all the issues between us, it seemed like a genuine attempt at reconciliation. 2 days later, a handwritten letter arrived from Amelia. Her apology was less comprehensive, more focused on how things had affected her. "Thomas and I had our first major fight after Thanksgiving," she wrote. "He said he was concerned about my character after seeing how I treated my own sister. It made me realize how I've appeared to others. I didn't respond immediately to either message. Instead, I scheduled an appointment with my therapist, Dr. Torres, whom I hadn't seen in over a year. What do you want from these relationships moving forward?" she asked after I'd explained the situation. "I'm not sure," I admitted. "Part of me wants to maintain the distance because it's been so peaceful. But another part recognizes they're trying in their way." "Setting boundaries doesn't necessarily mean cutting people off," Dr. Torres observed. "It can mean creating new terms for the relationship, terms that respect your worth and needs." Over the next week, I thought carefully about what those terms might be. Finally, I composed a response to my parents with a separate message for Amelia. To my parents, I wrote, "I appreciate your apology and am open to rebuilding our relationship. But things cannot return to how they were before. If you want to be part of Lily's and my life, we need to establish some new ground rules. I suggest meeting in person without Lily present initially to discuss this further." To Amelia, my message was briefer. "I received your letter. While I'm still hurt by your actions, I'm willing to talk about moving forward. However, I need you to understand that our relationship will need to change fundamentally if it's to continue. We arranged to meet my parents at a neutral location, a coffee shop halfway between our homes." The following Saturday, Megan agreed to watch Lily, who still didn't know about the potential reconciliation. Walking into that coffee shop was one of the hardest things I'd ever done. My parents looked older, somehow more uncertain than I'd ever seen them. My mother had been crying. Her eyes were red-rimmed behind her glasses. My father, usually so confident, seemed diminished. "Thank you for coming," my mother said as I sat down across from them. I nodded but didn't immediately speak. For once, I would let them fill the silence. "We've done a lot of thinking," my father finally said. "And we realize we've failed you as parents, not just with Thanksgiving, but for years. After you canceled everything," my mother added, "we were angry at first. But then as everything fell apart, we started to see how much we've depended on you, not just financially, but emotionally. You've been the stable one, the responsible one, while we've continued to enable Amelia's behavior and criticize yours. The thing is," I said carefully, "I didn't cancel Thanksgiving to punish you or to teach you a lesson. I did it because I finally recognized that I deserve basic respect, and so does my daughter. If being a single mother makes me unworthy of a place at your table, then my money should be equally unwelcome." They both nodded, looking genuinely ashamed. "We understand that now," my father said, "and we want to do better." We spent the next hour establishing clear boundaries. I would no longer be the financial safety net for family events or emergencies. Any comments about my status as a single mother or subtle digs about Lily lacking a father would result in us immediately leaving. Family gatherings would be truly inclusive, or we wouldn't attend. "And I need you to understand something fundamental," I said as our conversation wound down. "I am not ashamed of my life or my choices. I have built something strong and beautiful with Lily, and anyone who can't see that doesn't need to be part of our lives, family or not." My mother reached across the table and took my hand. "We're proud of you, Jamie. We should have told you that long ago." The reconciliation with Amelia took longer and proceeded in smaller steps. Our first meeting was awkward and tense. Her apology seemed motivated more by Thomas's reaction than by genuine remorse. He said he couldn't be with someone who would treat family that way, she admitted. It made him question what kind of mother I would be. And what kind of mother do you think I am? I asked directly. She looked startled by the question. A good one, she finally said. Lily is happy and well-adjusted. You're doing a great job with her. Then why was my presence at Thanksgiving so problematic? Amelia had no good answer, and that realization seemed to genuinely impact her. I got caught up in impressing Thomas's family, she said. Eventually, I lost sight of what really matters. Our relationship remained strained through the winter, but by spring, small improvements were evident. Amelia made an effort to spend time with Lily, bringing her small gifts and showing interest in her life. She stopped making comments about my situation and even defended me to a judgmental aunt at a family gathering in March. The first real test came in April when my parents hosted an Easter lunch. As Lily and I arrived, I felt the familiar tension rise in my chest, but the atmosphere was noticeably different. My mother had set up an Easter egg hunt specifically for Lily and the other young cousins. My father greeted us with genuine warmth, immediately engaging Lily in conversation about her recent t-ball game. When Amelia and Thomas arrived, there was a moment of awkwardness. But Thomas surprised me by making a point of engaging me in conversation about my work. Later, he quietly said, I want you to know that I never asked for you to be excluded from Thanksgiving. When I learned what had happened, I was horrified. The most revealing moment came during lunch when my mother's brother, Uncle Steve, made a passing comment about broken homes. Before I could even respond, my father cut him off. There's nothing broken about Jamie's home, he said firmly. She's raised an amazing daughter and built a life to be proud of. We don't use that kind of outdated language in this family anymore. The table fell silent, and I caught my mother's eye. She gave me a small nod, and I understood that they were truly trying to change. That evening, as Lily and I drove home, she asked, Are we going to see Grandma and Grandpa more now? Would you like that? I asked carefully. She considered the question seriously. I think so. Grandpa didn't make me wear a tie today, and Grandma let me have 2 desserts. I laughed. Well, those are certainly improvements. The reconciliation with my family continues to be a work in progress. There are still occasional comments that make me bristle, old patterns that emerge under stress. When they do, I no longer ignore them or internalize the hurt. Instead, I address them directly and enforce the boundaries I've established. Meanwhile, the chosen family we created at Thanksgiving has become an important part of our lives. Daniela and Max join us for movie nights. Mr. Johnson teaches Lily to play chess on Sunday afternoons. Sarah and I meet weekly for coffee and mutual support. These relationships, based on genuine acceptance and respect, provide a model for what family should truly be. Last week, Amelia called with news. She and Thomas have postponed their wedding. We're doing couples counseling first, she explained. Thomas said he wants us to start our marriage with a better understanding of healthy family dynamics. That's really mature, I said, genuinely impressed. I think it's a good decision. I'm learning a lot, she admitted. About myself, about how I've treated you. I have a long way to go, but I want to be better. As I reflect on the journey of the past several months, I realize that the painful exclusion from Thanksgiving became the catalyst for profound change in all our lives. By standing up for myself and my daughter, I not only claimed my own worth but also created the possibility for healthier relationships all around. Family is indeed defined by love and respect, not by obligation or blood. Sometimes the most loving thing we can do for ourselves and others is to refuse to participate in relationships that diminish us. And sometimes that refusal creates space for something new and better to grow. Have you ever had to set difficult boundaries with family members? What helped you find the strength to stand up for yourself? Share your experiences in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe if this story resonated with you. Remember, choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's sometimes the most important lesson we can teach our children. Thank you for listening to my story, and I hope it helps you find the courage to honor your own worth in all your relationships.